Hello students, I'm Miss Neetu Matharu and today we are going to look at English ICB guidance lecture. Okay, we are going to look at different aspects, the time management and how you can actually finish the paper on time. So let's start with our intensive coaching batch for English. First of all, we would like to discuss the deleted portion. All right. Now, as we all know, this year was a very difficult year for us, right? We had to study online, but we did not give up in our goal. Our goal is to achieve excellence, not just in our marks, but also in the knowledge that we have got. Because of online studies, certain topics could not be covered in the classroom lectures. And that is why some portion from your prose as well as poetry section was deleted. So here we have the list of the prose and the poetry section topics that are deleted. As you all know, we have 4 units in English. So from unit 1, the chapter 1.3, Wings of Courage is omitted. From unit 2, the chapter Science and Spirituality is being deleted from your syllabus. It is a reduced portion. That means for this particular year, that is 2021, in your board exams, you will not be having any passages based on that. But the grammar and vocabulary question based on this chapter will be there. So you will get questions based on grammar and vocabulary, but not a passage. Okay. Then we come to unit 4, in which the gift of Magi is being deleted from your syllabus. Now, these are the 3 chapters in your prose section which are reduced or deleted considering your online pattern of education this year. Next, we move on to poetry section. In poetry, poem 3.4, The Will to Win, is deleted. And 4.1, A Thing of Beauty is the Joy Forever, is also deleted from your current portion. So there are 3 prose chapters and 2 poems or poems, as you say, which are deleted for this year's examination. Now let us look at English as a subject. Now we all know that English is our first language, our language of instruction in school. We generally learn all the other subjects in English, and that is why English is being called as the first language. And considering that it is our first language, it has a lot of weightage. 80 marks is the weightage for your written exams. And this 80 marks can be divided into 2 parts. One is your language and the other is literature. Now, when I talk about language, it includes grammar, vocabulary, and writing skills. You know, we have done a lot of chapters of grammar, a lot of topics of grammar have been covered throughout the year. Vocabulary deals with word, your better knowledge of words. And finally, we have our writing skills. So all these topics are covered under language. Whereas literature will have your textbook passages, that is prose and poetry section is included in literature. So this is how your 80 marks is bifurcated. Now, when we come to this 80 marks, let us understand what are the topics in language and what is the weightage given to literature, so that it will help us to prepare better. See, once you know what is the marking system, what is the marks weightage that is given to various topics, it tells us, it gives us and boost to prepare it better. Now listen to this. Many a times, a lot of parents tell us, my child doesn't study for English because English they get only passages. Now let us come to the truth of this. Really, do you get only passages in English? No. Out of the passages which you get, there is a lot of grammar included, a lot of vocabulary included even in the passages. So the grammar, vocabulary, writing skill, if I take a calculate the total of all the grammar and vocabulary that you get in your paper, it comes to 52 marks out of 80, which also includes writing skill, for which it is completely your practice that will help you to fetch marks. The prose and poetry section comprises of 28 marks out of 80. So when you compare the two, definitely your passages have much less weightage as compared to your language. So we always have to prepare our languages very well before we go to the examination. One more important thing which I would like to tell you is grammar and vocabulary writing skill. Whatever you study will always be helpful even in your higher classes. So if you're preparing something, it is not just for your 10th standard examination, they will help you even in your higher classes. So see that your basics are very clear, you know the rules, and you also know how to apply it. So let's start first with how our time is going to be managed. So we start with paper pattern and time management. For 80 marks, you get 3 hours. It's a 3-hour paper. And in most probabilities, English will be your first paper that you will be attempting. So you will be filled with enthusiasm and zeal to go and give the paper. Okay, provided you have an optional language. Most of the time, English is the first paper that we write for your board exam, right? So let's see what are the different sections in English. How do we manage this? So section 1 deals with language study. Now, what do you mean by language study? Language study includes everything that you have done in your grammar and vocabulary part. No writing skill. So you have question 1, A1, language study, in which you will have 5 questions, out of which you have to attempt any 4. Each question will have a weightage of 1 marks. So it makes it 4 marks. All right. Next is language study again. So your question number A2 is also a language study question where you have to solve any 2 questions out of 3. Now, when I say 2 out of 3, the weightage is 4 marks. That means each question that you solve will carry 2 marks. So they will be like little difficult questions. Questions based on degrees of comparison, clause analysis, and such type of questions will be asked in A2. Now question 1B again is language study, and here again you will have to solve 1 question for 2 marks. So the total weightage for section 1 language study is 10 marks, and when it comes to time management, okay, it is 10 minutes. That means your very first section should get over in 10 minutes. Now you may feel 10 questions, 1 minute only. How will I be able to solve this? It's very easy. If you are very prepared with your rules, if you have solved sufficient sentences, then this is going to be a cakewalk for you. You just look at the sentence, write the correct answer, and you're done. It is only with practice and it is only with proper preparation that you will be able to finish these 10 questions in 10 minutes exactly. And this is also the first 10 marks for our language section. Let's move on to the next. Next is our section 2. Our section 2, students, includes textual passages. Now, what is the speciality of textual passages? Textual passages हमारे textbook के passages है. That means they are those passages which you have already prepared. Your teacher has taught you those passages. You know the story of the passages. You know the summary of the passages. You know the meanings and phrases and everything about this. You can prepare these passages well before you go for the examination with the help of your textbook and of course the master key that which we have provided you. So first you have a textual passage for 10 marks and you will solve the scene passage in a time span of 15 minutes. See students, it's very important to understand that the textual passages are passages which you are aware of. So you will not be spending too much of time in reading the passage. You would know the story. One reading will be enough for you to finish it. So 10 marks, 10 minutes. And then we come to question 2B, which is again a textual passage. That means again over here, you will be having a passage from your textbook, which you have already done for 10 marks, 15 minutes. Now let us come to the most important question. And that is, textual passage है तो prepare करना है क्या? Yes, you will be preparing all the textual questions, which also includes grammar and vocabulary. Now this 10 marks includes 2 marks of grammar question. That is your question number 3 is a 2-mark grammar question, And your question number 4 is a 2-mark grammar question. So you have 2 marks. Question number 3 based on grammar and vocabulary. Question number 4 again based on grammar and vocabulary. So in each passage, you have 4 marks of grammar and vocabulary. So if you have 2 textual passages, you will get 8 marks of grammar and vocabulary. So that is why now if I look at my section 1 and section 2, I have total 18 marks of grammar and vocabulary. So for those students who say that English में passage आता है, remember passage also has grammar and vocabulary for which you have to know the rules very well. Next we move on to section 3, which is poetry section. You know students, you have only 6 poems this year because 2 of the poems are omitted. Which are the omitted poems? 4.1, A Thing of Beauty is a Joy Forever, and The Will to Win. So you have to prepare 6 poems for 2 important questions. That is question number 3A, comprehension of the poem for 5 marks, and question number 3B, that is the critical appreciation of the poem, which of course we have already provided you and you only have to learn it. If you know the poem well, the critical appreciation of the poem will become very, very easy. So your poetry section is for 10 marks. 5 marks will be for comprehension and 5 marks will be for critical appreciation. Critical appreciation is very simple and easy. You have the notes with you. You can learn it and go. Now section 4 now comes to non-textual passages. Now when we talk about non-textual passages, these are passages which are not from your textbook. They are not your textbook passages, remember students. They are unseen passages like we commonly call it. So non-textual passage means an unseen passage which they will give you for comprehension, again for 10 marks. That means this will also include 4 marks for grammar and vocabulary section. So please remember, whenever you are doing any passages, there will be 4 marks which will be allotted for grammar and vocabulary. So even this unseen passage will have a 2-mark question on vocabulary and a 2-mark question on grammar. Now since this is an unseen passage, means आपने इसको पहले read भी नहीं किया है, आपने इसको पहले नहीं, you don't know the story of this passage. So that, that is why we are going to give you 5 minutes extra. That means textual passages were done in 15 minutes. This passage you will complete in 20 minutes. So the time allocation for this will be 20 minutes. That means you have to finish solving your unseen passage in 20 minutes. One more thing I would like to tell you, if you look at your next question, that is question 4B. It is summary of the non-textual passages. Non-textual passage, when you're reading it, read it not only for the comprehension part, but also for the summary part. Remember, same passage, you also have to attempt for a summary in the next question. So when you're reading it for the first time, highlight and underline the important parts so that it will save your time and energies for the next question, that is question 4B, summary of the non-textual passage. So the same non-textual passage will be asked for comprehension as well as summary. That means that non-textual passage will have a weightage of 15 marks. Now to write the summary, you will give 10 minutes. Okay. Now let us, remember 18 marks हमने count up किया था, 10 marks for language study question mark and 8 marks in the 2 textual passages. Now this non-textual passage will again have 4 marks. So it makes it to 22 plus 5 marks of summary writing. Yes, students, summary writing is also included in your language section. Let's come to the next question number 5. Language skills, which we also commonly call as writing skills or creative writing. Your first question will always be a letter writing, in which you will have a choice of writing a formal letter or an informal letter. We all know the new format for letter writing, which is the block format. So you will be given an activity-based question, and then you will have a question for formal and informal letter based on the same activity. All your writing skill topics will be for 5 marks each. and all the topics will have options. So you can choose the best. If given an option, it is always better to go for formal letter writing because it has got a set format and it is very, very scoring. Okay. Now for every writing skill topic that you attempt for 5 marks, you need to spend 15 minutes. Okay. Next in language study, you have information transfer. You know, we all know information transfer is transferring information from a paragraph to a diagram or from a diagram to a paragraph. Again, this question will be for 5 marks and the allotted time will be of 15 minutes. You will give 15 minutes to solve this. See, if you finish it earlier, no issue, because there may be certain questions in which you may take more time. This is an approximate time, but try not to exceed this time limit. Try to finish this in the allotted time. And when you practice this, when you're solving additional papers, now that you know our semi-prelim 1 is done, 2 is done, we have also written the 2 prelim papers. So you clearly have an idea where you're lagging. You can take a look at your papers. You can understand where you have lost marks. And accordingly, you can start with your preparation. So here you will have a choice between non-verbal to verbal and verbal to non-verbal. Second question, that is question number 6B, will be view counter view or a speech writing. Again, a 5-mark question, which you will be finishing in 15 minutes. So here, this section has 3 questions which you have to attempt. Every question has a choice. So depending upon the question that they have asked you in the board exam and your preparation, you will choose one and you will write. One more important instruction that I will like to give you over here is whenever we start with a new question, for example, if I'm going to start with letter writing, my question number 5, we all have the page, the answer booklet. There is a box provided at the left-hand corner of the page where you will write the question number and you will start answering it. Start every question on a fresh page. New page pe start karo. Do not copy the questions when you're doing writing skill. I'm repeating, don't copy the question. Start with your answer straight away. Is this clear? Moving to the next. Now this was section 5. We come to section 6. Now in section 6, we have creative writing. Okay. Creative writing, kyun? Because creative mein you have to use your imagination. There is no format for this. You have to use your imagination. You have to imagine and you have to write. So it is your imagination, your preparation, how good you are with English, how good words and vocabulary you can use, that will make all the difference. Try to use better words and vocabulary. Now, when I say better words and vocabulary, students will feel, okay, mujhe abhi hard words likhna hai. Nahi. You don't have to become the Shashi Tharoor of English to write an English examination. It is just that rather than using the words like I was very happy, you can use I was elated. When I say he was sad, sad is, you know, very 5th standard English. 5th standard se hum word sad use kar rahe, happy use kar rahe. So why not use something better? So rather than using I was very sad, you can say I was dejected. It is just that little change in the words that you use, little better words that you can use, which will make all the difference, which will make you score better. You know, there are some students who are of the opinion that it is difficult to score a perfect 5 in writing skills. That is because we use very normal words. We do not try to enhance our words, vocabulary part. So whatever words you study in your passages, when you're doing your chapters, whatever words you come across in the chapters, try to include the same words in your writing skills. So remember the words, remember the meaning, remember the phrases, and use it wherever possible. Okay, and that will help you to score marks. But it is not that you have to use very high-end English that the corrector has to open the dictionary every now and then. Try to keep it best and try to write it in a very precise way. So creative writing, where you have to use your creativity and imagination. The first question, that is question number 7, will be expand the theme. which we also popularly call as expansion of idea. 5 marks, 15 minutes. Now, in expand the theme, question 7a will be expansion of proverbs, maxims, quotations, and slogans. Or you can also write report. Now, for report writing, they will give you a headline. So a headline will be given to you. And based on the headline, you have to start developing your report. So out of expansion of idea and report writing, you choose either one, and this topic will be for 5 marks, which you will be covering in 15 minutes. And finally, the last question of your paper, that is question number 7b, developing a story, narrating an experience. Now, when I say developing a story, that means you have to write a story, of course, with the title, and narrating an experience means you have to narrate your personal experience. That means in this, the main character will be I. You have to imagine that it is something which you have gone through. So it is like a story, but only the main character will be I. The protagonist will be the person who is writing it. So here we come to review and rechecking the paper. Now it may sometimes happen that you may leave some question unanswered. Leave a space in that particular sub-question itself. And at the end, you can go back and answer them. So we have kept 10 minutes for you to recheck, review, tie the paper, write the supplement number, and do all those things before you finally end your examination. So this is the total bifurcation of marks and time for you, especially for those who feel they are unable to complete their paper on time. So this is how we divide the 80 marks, and we will finish writing it in 3 hours, that is 180 minutes. I hope the time management part is very clear to you. Now let's come to the preparation. From where do we prepare? Now students, for State Board Standard 10, we have the last minute revision booklet, which is very nicely uploaded in your RoboBooks. You know, you all have this great RoboPlus app, which is your rescuer, which comes to your rescue every time you're stuck. So even at 2 o'clock in the night, you have a doubt, you can get back to your app. So here you have the RoboBooks section in which you have the LMR sheet. LMR is nothing but a short form of last minute revision. So you have this entire booklet which will guide you for preparation of English. So you go to your LMR sheet, okay? And we start preparation for the 52 marks. Remember, we calculated together, didn't we? How did we divide the marks? Language and literature. So your language was 52 marks. Let us look at how we are going to prepare for this. What type of preparation do you need? So you have to stop telling people that you don't have to study for English and start preparing it, because the more you score, the better will be your percentage. So here we have already provided to you with a hard copy of the English grammar, vocabulary, and writing skill workbook. You know, students, we have also mailed you the solutions for the same. So now you can just go on solving and checking your answers simultaneously. And with this, you also have the LMR. So there are 2 things which will help you, which will guide you in your English grammar, vocabulary, and writing skill, which comprises of 52 marks in your paper. Now this is how it looks. So first you have all the grammar topics. So there are 18 grammar topics that you're supposed to know. Then you have the 11 vocabulary concept, and of course the writing skills. Now students, I would like to highlight there are 2 topics which were omitted by the board completely last year. And these topics are topic number 2 and topic number 3. That is, we do not have interview writing and dialogue writing. So please make a note that these 2 topics are omitted. They are not included in the board exams. I hope this is very clear to you. Moving ahead to the next one. See, this is how the workbook looks. The workbook has a lot of sentences for practice. But at the beginning, you have the rules with which you will start solving that grammar questions in a box. So the box will have the rule in short. You have to revise the rule, solve sentences, correct it with the solution that we have provided you. Okay. Then similarly for vocabulary concept, if a vocabulary concept needs explanation, then a short explanation is given to you in a rectangular box provided before the activity or the exercise that you are supposed to solve. So if I look at this, my topic number 2, alphabetical order, no explanation, because we already know what is alphabetical order. We have been doing this since our lower class. Collocation. So what is collocation? Oh, I forgot. I'm confused. So I will just read through. Collocation is a combination of 2 or more words which are written separately but are usually used together. So with this and the example, my doubt of collocation will be solved and I can proceed ahead to solve the activity or the example which is based on collocation. Similarly, here we have homonyms which will help you to create the very common confusion about homophones and homographs. Let's proceed. Next is writing skills, which में हमेशा question आता है. Line किधर leave करना है? Don't ask me. Refer to your notes. We have provided you the format of all the topics of writing skill. So first you have the format, then the commonly asked question, the FAQ of English. कितना paragraph? 3 paragraph. First paragraph में क्या लिखूं? Introduction लिखो. So we have given you the everything about the format of writing skills, covering each topic as they appear in your examination. So here you have formal letter with the details and the format. Same we have for informal letter. And for those students who really want to score well, we have also given you a few topics for preparation. So here you will see in your index section, you have language study, important vocabulary concept. Now, what is this? This is nothing, students, but extra additional questions for your practice whose answer key is also provided to you at the end. So if I look at this, okay, if I consider this, my language study important vocabulary concepts are from page number 1 to 4, and important grammar concepts will be from 1 to page 5 to 9 in my last minute revision booklet. This is not your grammar book. This we are talking about your LMR booklet. And at the end, if you see, you have an answer key. That means whatever questions are given to you in question number 1, the answers for the same are provided to you. So you can correct your work and you can identify where you're going wrong. So you can revise and you can solve sentences using these 2 very useful devices. Moving ahead. Let's come to the language study part. Language study, it has vocabulary concepts and grammar. Now, in your LMR sheet, see, you can see it is in the RoboMate book, RoboBook section of your R plus app, the RoboMate plus app, which you all have. So here you have the page number and the question number of those vocabulary concepts which are already there in your textbook. I would like to tell you, students, whenever we are preparing, we should first prepare those questions which are there in your textbook. Immediate question. Answer kahan se check kare? From where will I get the answers to the textual activities? The answers are already there in your master key. You need to just solve them, practice them, and you can correct your answers from the master key. So we have all the important vocabulary concept on which they can ask you a question covered in this part. So you can go page number wise, you can go topic wise as you wish. Next is grammar. Important grammar concepts. Just like we have all the important vocabulary concepts covered with the page numbers and the question numbers, I told you textbook is very important. Start with your textbook first. Similarly, here you will have the textbook page number of all your grammar topics. So you have like reported speech, page number 122, question number 7 will be based on reported speech. So you can solve the textual questions first. And to check the answers, you can refer to the master key. As I just told you, master key has answers to all your textual activities. Next, we come to writing skills or creative writing, which is 5 plus 25. 5 marks are for the summary. And 25 marks starts from your next section, which has letter writing and all the other topics up to story writing. So question number 4B, your first writing skill topic will be a summary of a non-textual passage. Now, what is non-textual passage? Is the same passage which you have got for comprehension. So when you're reading it for comprehension, you have already highlighted, underlined the keywords. So the next step will be that we will understand the main point and we will write a summary. Okay. When you write a summary, the summary has to be written in your own words. Don't forget to give a title to your summary. We'll have 1 marks for the title along with the summary. So both should be there. Title bhi hona chahiye and summary bhi hona chahiye. Wherever possible, you can use your own grammar, vocabulary and language so that you can condense that entire paragraph into 1/3 of its length. Do not give your opinion. You have to write a summary as briefly as possible and you can use your own adjectives. In case the passage has any repetitions or any detailed examples, you can skip that in the summary writing. So summary writing has to be very short and it has to be very precise. Next we come to letter, information transfer, view, counter view, expansion and story writing. How do we prepare? Now we have given you, there are students who always will question which are the important topics for expansion of idea. So let us look at the important topics. Most of the time, students are unable to write an expansion of idea because they don't understand the meaning of the proverb. So to make your work easier, in your LMR sheet, we have given you a list of important ideas along with the meaning. So suppose I get an expansion which says a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. So if I know the meaning of this proverb, it becomes very easy for me to expand it and write the second paragraph based on the same. All right. So here you have the meaning. It is better to have an advantage or an opportunity that is certain than having one that is worth mere, but it is not certain. But worth more, but it is not certain. So meaning is given. You learn the meaning of all these proverbs and it becomes very easy for you to expand it and write the second paragraph. Okay. Now, one more important thing. We have a list of 42 such proverbs given to you. So you can prepare this. This is also one type of preparation that you can do before the examination. Next is a comprehensive list of writing skill topics. What are the possible topics that they can ask you for letter writing or for view, counter view, for speech, story? Which are the possible topics? And what are the things that you can write in that is also provided to you. So the next we have important writing skill topic. Now this covers all the topics of writing skill, that is letter writing, speech, view, counter view. So we have given you topics. Like, you can get topics which are based on self-development. You can get topics which are based on life. So these topics are given and what you can write, what are the things that you can include, that list is also given. So it makes the preparation for writing skills very, very easy. With this, we come to end of how you will prepare for the 52 marks. Most of these things are given in detail in your LMR sheets. We have just discussed an overview over here, but the details are given to you in your LMR sheet and it is very helpful if you take the help of that and prepare it. Next, we come to your 28 marks of literature, which includes prose, seen and unseen passages, which you will get for comprehension. Now, each passage will have 5 activity-based questions, in which the first question is always a simple factual question of 2 marks based on the passage. Now, when I say it's a simple factual question, that means you can get questions which have fill in the blanks, true or false, match the following, complete the following statement, who said to whom, rearrange the sentences in the order in which they occur. So these are few of the questions that you can get in simple factual questions for 2 marks. So you have to read this question, Look out for a similar word in the passage and then answer the question. See, never just answer the question on your gut feeling. Always refer to the passage before you write the answer. Okay. Second question is a complex factual question, which is again based on the passage. But in this case, you will have to maybe club in few points which are given in the passage and structure it into an answer format. Means there may be some points which are in the first paragraph. There may be some points in the second paragraph. You have to combine these points and write the answer for this. But definitely this question will be based on your passage. Question number 3 is activity-based contextual vocabulary. Now, when I say contextual vocabulary, means vocabulary which is based on the passage that is given to you. The words which they are giving you are from the passage or the answer is from the passage. Now, in vocabulary-based question, they can give you find out the meaning of the word from the passage, give the opposite, that is antonym, word formation, that is noun form, adjective form, adverb form, or you can get homonyms, homophones, homographs, and all such questions. It is also possible that your question number 3 will be one of the textual activities which you solved before. So if you remember the textual activities, this question becomes very, very easy for us. So 2 marks for vocabulary questions, which will be contextual. That means based on the passage that is given to you along with this question. Question number 4 again is an activity-based contextual grammar. So what did we see? How many grammar topics are we supposed to study? We are supposed to do 18 grammar topics. So it can be a sentence which is picked up from the passage and you have to solve it according to the instruction which is given to you in the bracket for 2 marks. And last is personal response question, or it will be based on your creativity and imagination. A personal response question is a 2-mark question in which you are supposed to express your opinion based on the topic that is given to you. Now, students, sometimes they may have a question in which you have to agree, disagree, or say yes or no. So if it is such a question, you first write yes, no, whatever is your opinion, put a full stop, and then you start answering it. I hope this is very clear to you. Next, we come to poetry comprehension. Like I told you, 5 marks poetry comprehension and 5 marks for your critical appreciation. Together, it is 10 marks on your poems. And for this year, you have to prepare only 6 poems because 2 of the poems are already omitted. All right. First question, simple factual question for 2 marks. Just say it will be a fill in the blanks, true or false, or any activity-based question in the first one. Second will be a complex factual question. Now you will have to prepare the complex factual question because here you will not get answers directly from the passage, because here the passage which is given to you is a poetry. And you know, whenever you write answers, you don't write the answers in poetic form. You have to write it in the correct prose form. And in order to prepare the answers for the complex factual questions, you can just glance through. I'm not telling you to learn the question answers by heart, but you can just read it once from the master key so that it becomes very easy for you to write it. You get an idea about what kind of answers are expected out of you. And question number 3A, poetic device question for 1 mark. Now, when we talk about poetic devices, it includes figures of speech, which we have a comprehensive list. Students, you know, your LMR includes figures of speech of every poem. So for all the poems, we have given you every figure of speech for every line of the poem along with the explanation. So if you have prepared your LMR thoroughly, this question will be very easy to answer. And next, once we have finished with the poem comprehension, we come to the critical appreciation of the poem. Again, 5 marks. Okay. Now, when we are writing the critical appreciation, it will be based on the following points. You have to give the title, the name of the poet, along with 1 line. Now, when I say the title of the poem, it is not just you have to write the title. No, title is already given in the poem. So why do we write it again? We have to justify that why the poet has used this particular title for the poem. and what is the significance of the title. So that will be the first part of your critical appreciation. Then you can write the name of the poet, you can tell about him, the rhyme scheme of the poem, which you will already prepare for the poetic device, and figures of speech, which you will prepare from the LMR, and finally the central theme or the central idea of the poem. How do we prepare for these 28 marks, which is for our literature? This 28 marks can be prepared using your textbook. See, I told you textbook खाली read नहीं करना है, उसमें जितना भी activity based questions है, that is questions which are based on grammar and vocabulary at the end of every chapter or at the end of every text has to be done. And for the answers, we can definitely refer to a master key. Okay, a master key is like the Bible for our 10th standard English portion. It has answers to all our questions and queries. So this, you can see there is a passage, there are meanings, there are factual questions, there are complex factual questions, and then there is grammar and vocabulary also. And in case of poems, we also have the critical appreciation of the poems given to you at the end of every poem. So this will make your work very, very easy. It will become very easy for you to prepare. But of course, for this, you have to sit with your LMR, master key, your textbook, and you have to start preparing it. All right. Now, if you look on the right-hand side of your screen, the left-hand side of your screen, and the right-hand side, here we have vocabulary-based textual questions. So in the first one, we have pick out from the lesson noun forms of the following words. So this is textual question, contextual vocabulary. Isko bolte contextual vocabulary. Is it clear? And on the right side, if you see, you have critical appreciation of the poems which is given to you, and this is based on your LMR. So your LMR has critical appreciations also. So this is how you will write the critical appreciation. The first will be the title. You mention the title and its significance. Next will be about the poet, the name of the poet and his nationality, and any 1 or 2 points. Like for example, if I'm writing the critical appreciation of my first poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear, I know the poet is Rabindranath Tagore. I will say Rabindranath Tagore is an Indian poet. Okay, he has written the national anthem of India as well as Bangladesh, and he was the first European to win the Nobel Prize or to be honored with the Nobel Prize for Literature. These 2 lines will be very sufficient. Your next poem, or Where All the World is a Stage, written by William Shakespeare. You can write 2 lines about William Shakespeare. So it has to be written in this format. So if I talk about Rabindranath Tagore, I will say it is the poem Where the Mind is Without Fear is written by Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore, who is the author of the Indian as well as the Bangladeshi national anthem. And this poem is taken from his very famous book, Gitanjali. It is the 35th poem of his collection, Gitanjali, which was initially written in Bengali, called as Pratna, and later translated into English. Rhyme scheme. Now, every poem may have a rhyme scheme or it is a free verse. So you can mention this. So for poems without a rhyme scheme, you will say the poem has no rhyme scheme. It's a free verse. Figures of speech. Mention one prominent figure of speech. Okay. So for example, I'm doing the poem Puli. So I will say this poem, the entire poem is an extended metaphor because the poet uses a metaphysical object, that is a pulley, to indirectly compare restlessness. He says restlessness is like a pulley which pulls man towards God. So that is one prominent speech, one prominent figure of speech of the poem. Okay, so you can write that line and you can give the explanation. Next, we go to the central idea. The central idea of the poem. You don't have to write a half page or 1 page central idea of the poem. Just 2 to 3 lines about the central idea of the poem. Don't explain the entire poem. So this is the format, the final format of your critical appreciation. So this is how your critical appreciation will look like. Now, there is no need for you to take a screenshot or copy this critical appreciation, the format, because this is already given to you in your LMR. So you just know the format, and like if you learn it, then for every poem, you just have to fill in the blanks. But with what you will fill in the blanks? You will fill in the blanks with poems at the glance that is given to you at the next page. So if I want to write what is the significance of the title, I will get it in this LMR. Significance of the title given, about the poet given, rhyme scheme given, and the theme of the poem is also given and discussed here. So if you prepare poems at a glance thoroughly, you can use the pointers given to you in poems at a glance to prepare your critical appreciation. So for all the 6 poems, you have this table. So it gives you about the title, information about the poem, the rhyme scheme of the poem, and the theme or the central idea. And you can learn these pointers and use it in the previous format that I showed you. You learn it and you use it in this format. So with this, the critical appreciation of a poem, which is for 5 marks question, becomes very, very easy, and you can easily score a perfect 5 in critical appreciation if we follow this, we practice this well enough. I hope this is clear. So for every poem, you have this given to you. So we have all the poems here. Now we come to last and the most important point, that is textual questions, especially personal response questions. Now in your LMR copy, at the end of the last minute revision booklet, which is provided to you in your R+ app in RoboBook section, you have important personal response questions. So from every chapter, like for example, if I look at my first chapter, Thief Story, here, I have the 2 important PRQs which they can possibly ask me from my first chapter. Same way, we have 1.6, Alchemy of Nature, then 3 questions. So additional PRQs, additional questions of personal response nature are given to you in this. Okay. Now there are certain guidelines which we need to follow. First is, we always begin a PRQ with an introductory line. Now this introductory line is that if it's a yes or no question, you will say yes and then justify your answer. If your answer is no, then you write no, full stop, and you write an answer. So half mark will be given for this, whether you write yes or no. If you directly start writing, then maybe you will not get full 2 marks in your personal response question. Okay. Now decide when you're writing yes or no, don't go too much against the writer. Just try to agree with whatever the writer has said. Okay, whatever the chapter is based on. Now, if you do not have any spelling errors and cancellations, again, you get half marks. So make your answer as neat as possible. And neatness only comes when you're prepared. When you're prepared, well, you can write your answers perfectly. And half marks again for better use of words and vocabulary. Okay. And half marks is for grammatically correct sentences, which is also called as the syntax. Okay, let's see at one solved example from your chapter 1.2, the thief story. So the question is, do you think strangers should be employed by one? Justify your answer. So here, do you think? Yeah? So you will say, yes, I think strangers can be employed, or I will say, no, strangers shouldn't be employed. So giving my answer, if I say no, I put a comma and then I give a justification. Or if I agree, then I say yes and then I justify my answer. So this is how you can write. See, it doesn't matter whether you say yes or no. You have to justify it and you have to mention why you agree or why you disagree. I hope this is very clear to you. With this, we finish the 28 marks grammar, the 28 marks of literature, which includes prose and poetry based on your text. Okay. So we'll stop here. Okay. Students, as we all know, that there's a very famous proverb which says, practice makes man perfect. Okay. So here we end this session by telling you the same thing. When we want to do something, the essence of achieving anything is excellence. And excellence will come only with practice. So when you have practiced thoroughly, when you're very well prepared, there is no stopping you. So start preparing. All the best for your board exams. We hope to see you coming out with flying colors in your SSC board examinations. Thank you all.